You know, if you've been following the news lately, you've probably noticed Tesla's been in the spotlight again, and not just for their cars or wild new tech. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, honestly. Imagine sitting with me at a coffee shop just chatting about what's really going on behind the scenes at one of America's most talked about companies. That's what I want to do here. Just walk you through the whole thing, like we're catching up over a cup of coffee. So here's the scoop. Earlier this year, there was this big buzz that Tesla's board might be looking for someone to take over as CEO, maybe even replace Elon Musk. Yeah, that Elon Musk, the guy who's practically the face of Tesla, SpaceX, and a bunch of other things. The rumor started with a report from the Wall Street Journal, which basically said that Tesla's board had been reaching out to headhunters, trying to see who could possibly fill Musk's shoes. The reason? Well, it wasn't just about the company's recent financial hiccups, though those have been pretty noticeable. The bigger worry seemed to be that Musk was getting stretched too thin, especially since he'd taken on this big role in the Trump administration, running something called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which, yeah, is kind of a funny name if you ask me. Now, as soon as that story hit, Tesla's leadership kind of jumped into action. Robin Denholm, who's the chair of the board, put out a statement that basically said, nope, none of that is true. She was super clear. Elon's still the CEO, and the board's got his back. Musk himself even chimed in, calling the whole thing not just false, but a real hit to journalistic ethics. So the official word was that everything was business as usual. But you know how it goes. Once a rumor like that gets out, it's hard to just put the lid back on. People kept wondering, is there something more going on here? And honestly, it's not like the timing was great for Tesla. They just put out their first quarter numbers and, well, they weren't exactly something to brag about. Revenue was down about 9% compared to the year before, and profits had dropped by a whopping 71%. Even in places like France, where electric cars are usually a big deal, Tesla's numbers had taken a nosedive, almost 60% fewer registrations in just 1 month. The stock price? Down more than 30% since the start of the year. For a company that's usually seen as this unstoppable force, it felt like a pretty big reality check. But there was more to it than just the numbers. Musk's new gig in the government had become a bit of a lightning rod. He was supposed to be making the government run leaner and more efficiently, which sure sounds good on paper. But it meant he was spending a lot of time away from Tesla. Investors noticed, employees noticed, and during one of the company's earnings calls, Musk actually addressed it. He admitted there'd been some blowback from his government work and promised he'd be focusing more on Tesla again starting in May. It sounded like he was trying to calm everyone down, but it also made it clear just how much he was juggling. Meanwhile, Tesla was dealing with some pretty real-world fallout. In the US and Europe, some of their showrooms and charging stations had been hit by protests and even vandalism. Some folks felt like Musk's politics didn't line up with what they thought Tesla stood for. The company's CFO, Vaibhav Taneja, was pretty upfront about it. He said the negative vibes were affecting sales and making things tough for their employees. It's kind of wild to think about, but it just goes to show how much a company's image can get tied up with its leader. So with all that going on, people started wondering, what would Tesla even look like without Musk at the helm? Some folks pointed to J.B. Straubel, one of the company's co-founders, as a possible next in line. Others thought maybe Musk himself was ready to step back, maybe become chairman, and let someone else handle the day-to-day stuff. It's not like he hasn't done that before with other companies. But as one analyst put it, Tesla's in a pretty vulnerable spot right now. And it's not as simple as just swapping out the CEO and calling it a day. And that's the thing. For a lot of investors, Musk is both the company's biggest asset and its biggest risk. His vision and energy are what got Tesla to where it is, but he's also unpredictable, and that makes some people nervous. The whole rumor about the board looking for a new CEO, whether it was true or not, kind of forced everyone to think about what Tesla really is. Is it just Musk's vision, or has it grown into something bigger than any one person? Lately, Musk has been pushing Tesla in some new directions. Instead of focusing on making electric cars more affordable, which was a big part of the original pitch. He has been talking a lot about self-driving taxis and even robots. It's bold for sure, but it's also risky. The electric car market is getting crowded, with all the big automakers and plenty of new startups jumping in. Tesla's own sales have been slipping, and a lot of the stuff Musk is talking about, like full autonomy and robots, is still more of a dream than something you can actually buy. And then there's the whole political and economic backdrop. Tesla's been caught up in the back and forth of Trump's trade policies. Musk has been pretty vocal about wanting lower tariffs, and he's even gotten into it with Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro. Sales in China, which used to be a huge growth area for Tesla, are now kind of up in the air because of all this. On the flip side, Trump recently dialed back some auto tariffs here in the US, which could help Tesla since they build most of their cars here, but still rely on parts from overseas. It's just another layer of complexity in an already complicated situation. All of this has left Tesla's employees feeling a bit on edge. A lot of them joined because they believed in Musk's vision, and now they're not sure what comes next. Customers and investors are in the same boat. Tesla's always been about more than just cars. It's about this idea of a cleaner, better future. And for a lot of people, that dream feels tied up with Musk himself. As we moved into summer, the talk about the board searching for a new CEO started to die down, at least in the headlines. But the big questions are still hanging out there. Can a company that has been built around one person really keep going strong if that person steps back? And what does the future look like for Tesla, a company that has always seemed to live right on the edge between what's possible and what's just out of reach? When you really think about it, the whole Tesla story this year isn't just about profits or who's sitting in the CEO chair. It's about what happens when a company grows up, when it has to balance big dreams with the reality of running a business. It's about leadership, change, and what kind of legacy you leave behind. Even with all the ups and downs, there is something kind of inspiring about it, a reminder that the future is always a little uncertain, but it's also full of possibilities. And as Tesla figures out its next steps, you can bet the whole world will be watching, waiting to see what happens next.